Are you sick of career Democrats who are only Republican light? 1/3 fewer human rights and all the corruption. Me too. I'm Dr. Jennifer Booker, and that's why I'm a Democratic candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Hawaii District 1. I have been repulsed by the number of people in top government positions with no qualifications to be there, no concept of the responsibilities of national security, and massive conflicts of interest. We demand far better. We need representatives with a strong science background to keep from being at the mercy of legislation written only to serve special interest groups and corporations. I have earned 3 engineering degrees, bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and used them in the defense and aviation industries. I have taught information systems for 20 years. I was a quality manager for a large Army project and taught project management. I'm also a registered nurse. Nobody in Congress has my level of education and experience in science, engineering, computers, and healthcare. I have a clear vision of the changes I want to bring about and describe them in my book, Idiot-Proofing Democracy. For example, we need separation of powers instead of lapdogs for the president. Restore separation of church and state, innocent until proven guilty, and due process for everyone. We must affirm LGBT rights, insist on racial and ethnic equality, provide universal health care, and recognize the fundamental right to adequate food, water, and shelter. We need to screen, then welcome immigrants and refugees, and provide clear paths for residency and citizenship. We must restore trust in the government, both here and with our allies, by eliminating political action committees, mandatory financial disclosure for high-level government positions, and earned security clearances for legislative and executive branch leaders. No corporate personhood, such as Citizens United, and no electoral college nonsense. We need term limits for Congress and the Supreme Courts to eliminate lifetime positions. All of this is to reach a loftier goal. By creating a foundation of education, universal health care, and eliminating homelessness, we will free people to explore and develop their talents and skills. We need excellent plumbers, great welders, innovative artists, compassionate managers, outstanding builders, and world-class scientists and engineers. That is my vision for the United States of America. Vote for me, Dr. Jennifer Booker, Democratic candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Hawaii District 1. Mahalo.
Aloha. My name is Jarrett Keohokalole. I'm 42, a state senator, attorney, husband, and father of 3 kids. I'm also running to represent you in Congress because we need new leadership now. I'm telling you why I'm running for Congress in 1 sentence. I want my kids and their kids to grow up in Hawaii. That's it. That's the whole thing. And when I'm elected, that will be the focus of every minute I'm in Washington. I grew up on the windward side. My dad was a construction worker and my mom was a nurse. They raised 3 boys in a community surrounded by family. I met my wife at UH Manoa, and together we moved away, looking for opportunity. And when it was time to have kids, we came home to raise them where we grew up, around family, around community. And that's what's at stake in this election. Our kids are losing the chance to raise the next generation here. And I'm running to make sure that chance doesn't disappear, that we fight to lower costs, protect our health care, and build a future where our kids can stay and thrive. Families right now are struggling with the price of groceries, gas, and housing. And we need leaders who will move with urgency to make life better. In Washington, I will work hard to find solutions like I've done here, including stabilizing insurance costs for condo owners across the state, saving associations an average of $100,000 a year, enshrining Roe v. Wade into state law, to protect a woman's right to choose, and just recently, passing first-in-the-nation legislation to ban dark money in our elections. None of that came easy, but it came because I stayed at the table, because I worked with people it affected, and I fought for change that could preserve our way of life. And that is exactly what I will be fighting for in Washington every single day. We need dynamic leadership representing us in Congress. Leadership that meets the urgency of the moment. Out of 535 members of Congress, Hawaii only has 4 seats. That does not make us powerless. We may be small, so we need to be mighty. I have a track record of running toward the hard issues, fighting for what's right, and getting things done. My name is Jarrett Keohokalole. I'm running to represent Hawaii's 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives, and I'm asking for your vote on August 8th. To learn more about where I stand, visit jarrettforcongress.com. My family has been part of this community for generations. I want my kids to be able to say the same. That's why I'm running. Mahalo nui loa.
Aloha. My name is Nick Kiswanto, and I'm running for the Democratic Party nomination to United States Congress, District 1. I am a first-generation American who moved to Southern California with my parents and younger brother from Indonesia when I was 6 years old. I have federal government experience as a patent examiner of 17 years, where I read, analyzed, and applied federal law to patent applications. I moved to Oahu in 2019 under the Patent Office's robust work-from-home program. I was compelled to run for Congress when I saw that the representative of the district that I lived in voted in favor of a voter suppression measure. As an elder millennial, I lived through the 2003 invasion of Iraq, the Wall Street bailouts, Citizens United, 2 elections of the convicted felon Donald Trump, and many more shameful political acts in America. I never had control over any of those acts until I saw Ed Case be one of only 4 Democrats to join all Republicans in the House in restricting the rights that so many of our predecessors died for. After researching some local voting history, I also saw that turnout for the primaries on Oahu was about half that of the general election, which to me said that not enough people knew the importance of the primary election. I started out with only the goal of increasing primary turnout because I believe that the more people that vote, the closer we get to making the right decision. However, after some work on that, it became clear that voters needed someone to increase turnout for. And that's how I find myself here, humbly asking for your vote. I believe I have more in common with you than any of my opponents. While other candidates have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising, I hope to spend under $10,000 of my own money in order to try to make life a little easier for all of us. I have not and will not take any donations because I think people shouldn't have to pay their representatives to make good decisions for them, especially not when costs of living are soaring higher month by month. Because I don't have the budget to win on style, I have to try to win on substance. Every candidate says they want the obvious things that we all want, which boil down to lower cost of living so that we have the freedom to live the lives that we want. But those candidates haven't proposed any concrete policies that would help lower the cost of living. I have concrete policies. If elected, I will champion the side of locals on the issue of the military occupation of Hawaii. For far too long, the only voice in the debate on how the military affects life on the islands has been that of the military itself. Thanks to a report that recently came out, we can see that the cost of the military's presence in Hawaii is far greater than the benefits. You probably already know about Red Hill and Makua Valley, but did you also know that active duty service members receive an additional $45,000 a year tax-free to spend on housing? Or that out-of-state service members get to keep their home state residency status, thereby avoiding paying Hawaii state income tax? These policies and others directly raise the cost of living and housing in Hawaii. Congress has the ability to change those policies, and I believe I am the only candidate who has the will to convince the other members of Congress to do so in order to lower costs and stop the injustice that continues to be done to Hawaii by the military. I'm not saying we don't need the military. I'm saying that they have not paid their fair share for what they get out of Hawaii. In addition to those policies, I would also try to pass bills that incentivize works that go towards Pono acts such as education, health, food security, and climate action. I would also propose bills that disincentivize further acts of exploitation of the Aina. I want to represent our interests in Congress, not those of big donors, and I would be honored to receive your vote come August 8th. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Adriel Lamb. I am asking for your vote to humbly walk the halls of Congress and boldly speak and advocate for the people of Hawaii in Washington, D.C. as your congressional representative for Hawaii's 1st Congressional District. Here on this 250th birthday of the United States, we have an opportunity to set our sights on Hawaii's next 250 years in this great country. America is a story of ordinary people blessed with the opportunity to do extraordinary things. This gift we have been given to live on the greatest nation on earth is because of the people of every generation who believed in the vision of this country was founded on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, established by a constitutional union of free and independent states. They made it happen each and every day for the next generation. Each story is a fabric that weaves together our nation on this momentous occasion of America 250. Here's my America 250 story. My great-grandfather escaped the war-torn and divided Asian continent and came to Hawaii in 1872. My grandfather worked the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard the day it was attacked. My father began his missionary service with veterans from World War II who returned to Japan to share the good news of Jesus. I benefited from the life and legacy of my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, whose lives in Hawaii spanned the Pacific over the last century and a half. Their experiences shaped my perspective in working at all levels of government, from local to state and federal, with extraordinary people from all walks of life, across the 50 states and 30 countries. While serving nearly 24 years of active duty service in the United States Army, I was blessed to lead small teams, combat units, and enterprise-wide efforts to collaborate with interagency and international partners. I was truly blessed to return home to Hawaii with my family to serve in my neighborhood and community. Hawaii remains a strategic center of the Pacific. It is not only a military strongpoint and economic pathway to the Pacific, it is a cultural gateway and social nexus between two continents. We need a strong and sensible voice in Washington who will speak for the common values we share, advocate for the tremendous talent and potential of our people, and leverage the resources of our federal union for our islands. As citizens of this great country, you have the right and freedom to choose who speaks for you in Washington, D.C. I am asking for your vote to represent your voice. Join me in this journey. Visit www.lambforaloha.com and vote for Adriel Lamb, United States House of Representatives, Hawaii's 1st Congressional District.
Aloha. My name's Guithues. I'm running for Congress in the 2nd District of Hawaii, that is rural Hawaii. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a career politician. I'm a retired haole in Ocean View. I'm here because I believe the President, Vice President, and Defense Secretary should be removed from office. I've drafted several articles of impeachment in recent months in preparation for my new job in Washington. Any member of the House can introduce an impeachment resolution. Yes, that will be my job. I'll tell you about one now. It's regarding illegal use of military force. Everything I'm saying here is in public record and be documented. This impeachment resolution charges the President, Defense Secretary, and Vice President with killing over 200 people in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific in what Trump calls narco trafficking. But he has presented no evidence for this. It also specifically charges the deliberate killing of 2 shipwrecked men. Men killed by a second missile while they waited in the water. When asked about killing shipwrecked sailors, Secretary Hegseth said, "I fully support that strike. And I would have made the same call myself." Vice President Vance was asked about the same killing. He responded, "I don't give an expletive what you call it." Well, it was a war crime. During this period, Trump pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. He would have been president of Honduras, convicted of narco trafficking and sentenced to 45 years in prison. Trump pardoned this narco trafficker 3 months into this illegal killing on the open sea. Yes, I know these resolutions will not pass in this Republican-controlled Congress, but I introduce them anyway because the Constitution makes accountability the obligation of every officer who takes the oath. The oath of office of President, Cabinet member, and House member all require faithful execution of the law. All of it. Impeachment, the mechanism of accountability, exists in Congress, and Congress has voted to silence it every time this Trump administration. But somebody has to speak up on record in the House of Representatives as many times as necessary. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, top Democrat in the House, says that impeachment is not practical and that impeachment will not be a high priority even if the Democrats take the House this year. That's the wrong answer. This is about right and wrong. I will introduce articles of impeachment often and as many times as it takes, because that is the job. That's the job that matters right now. I ran my own business for 25 years. I know how to do what needs doing, and I know that I don't need to ask permission to do the things that need doing. This needs doing. I'm not taking corporate money. My allegiance is to you, the people of rural Hawaii, not subsidies for billionaires. I've been asking Representative Takuda for a year to hold the executive accountable. Then finally, in February of this year, she wrote back. It was 500 words listing things that she had done. And in it, she said that she shares the fear. This is not something to be afraid of. There is nothing to fear. And if you're afraid, get out of the way. I decided to run for her seat. And on May 14th, I said I would drop out of the race and endorse her if she would introduce or co-sponsor impeachment articles by the June 2 ballot filing deadline. She did not, and here we are. I will take care of the people in the Aina. This is my Kuleana. Citizenship is not a spectator sport. My name is Greg Guithues, running for Congress, 2nd Congressional District, State of Hawaii. Mahalo. Please vote. Please talk to your neighbors. We can do this. Mahalo.